Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's have some more legacy gameplay. It's no secret that I love blue decks, and I have loved Delver historically, and I actually think it's time for a comeback. So I have decided to merge the old school Delver shell with full amount of days with Core Steel Cutter. Core Steel Cutter is a card I've been playing on the channel before, but that was in more dedicated. This is a young pyromancer. I don't mind not having a one drop, that kind of thing, right? But this time it's here alongside the full amount of one drops. So in order to fit everything here, I essentially cut a bauble, a preordain, cut them down to one. I cut the Tamios, and then I added 3 cutters. That leaves me with 1 open slot, which I've used on a Force Negation. There's something about the spell count is relatively low for Delver. There's something about the blue count, and then there's something about the uptick of Chalice of the Void and combo decks in general. So I don't necessarily think Force Negation is a great main deck card, but this allows me to play 16 sideboard slots, which inevitably, is some kind of value. So let's see what I'm using those for. So I think the blasts, those include Pyros, Hydros, and Consigns. Those are very stock right now. Eldrazi, Pseudo-Mirrors, Painter, Red Prison, Sneak Attack, Pyroblast, kind of obvious. Second Force Negation against any combo deck. Then 3 pieces of Graveyard Hate. This could be, one too few, but I think between those 3, the fact that we're a cantrip deck, we already have forces, we have 4 dazes, we put pressure on with 1-drops and Lightning Bolt. I think all of that combined to keep Reanimate in check, the card Reanimate, 3 is going to be enough. And then the biggest innovation here, which is basically my solution to saying, well, I need some slots to handle Chalice of the Void to begin with. So whether these are Abrade, Meltdown, or whatever, that's just something we have to have available to us. But Barragoyf is another huge problem for the deck. So I decided to splash black off of 2 Underground Seas. So now I'm basically playing an additional land. And then, I could have had fetch number 9 or, volcanic number 4, fetch number 9, that kind of thing in these slots. So this is essentially me playing 3 basic islands in the main deck with no black cards. So that's the cost, right? Nothing comes for free in this day, and when it comes to deck building, when it comes to deck choice, when it comes to just your choices in Magic, you should just understand that there's going to be pros to those choices, there's going to be cons. So if we can look into as many reasons as possible on both sides of the fence, we're more likely to make a qualified decision. And I feel like that's where I've arrived here, where my Chalice of the Void slot is spent on something that also kills Barragoyf, which is 2 very, very important boxes to tick. Then I also have a single copy of Fatal Push, which also kills Barragoyf. It's just super solid in any Pseudo-Mirrors. And then I have a single copy of Snuff Out. Snuff Out does not kill Barragoyf, so actually, the version I'm playing right now in a tournament I'm hosting over on my Metafy is a version with 2 Fatal Pushes, 2 Collapse. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to cut a little bit of cutting some corners here. This card is slightly better against, Mystic Forge, slightly better against Eldrazi, slightly better against turn 1 Tameo. And yeah, I think it's there's too many black creatures around to play more than 1 Snuff Out, in my opinion. I want to play 0 or I want to play 1. So this slot, it would be kind of cool to see if I draw it and I have to kill a black creature, or I draw it and the 0 mana comes up clutch. Well, who the hell knows, right? It's details at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this Grixis Delver Cutter deck. It has all the, the strengths of previous Izzet versions. You can play from a single island, then you don't care about Blood Moon. Cutter is good against Chalice and Blood Moon just because of being, a red 2-drop. And then a couple of Murktides on top here to try and finish things off. So, yeah, I'm hoping for some cool games today. I've also written a guide over on my Metafy. If you're interested in that, go and check that out. But yeah, with that being said, let's get to some gameplay. All right, round 1. I'm playing Grixis Delver Cutter. And I'm on the play, which is quite amazing. So I can go turn 1 Delver, then use Baubles to flip the Delver. I think I should do that. Always nice with a little message from my opponent. So let's keep this hand. Let's play Delver and 2 Baubles. And Pass the turn with the intention of bobbling myself. Wait a minute. How does this work with 2 baubles? I confused myself here for a second. Maybe the second one doesn't help me. No, the second one doesn't help me. Okay. So, Delver of Secrets. Let's do it on the opponent's deck, because I might need Daze or Force turn 1. Okay, Savannah is probably bad news. We want to play against Ancient Tomb. We want to play against combo decks. Savannah is neither. Here's Core Steel Cutter. So, okay, so my opponent's a Bant deck. Here's a Ponder. So Core Steel Cutter is a card that, you know, you can, if you slow roll Bobble, it's awesome, but, you know, you can't really do it unless you have the Cutter. I feel like it's better to just keep things moving then. Okay, we see Volcanic Island. So that means I will have to draw that card first, then get a new chance at life. Delver reveals Wasteland. No, let's not do that. Okay. So now, let's see what the opponent did. My opponent kept the cards with Ponder. So how do you feel about this play? Wasteland them, deploy Delver. Next upkeep, double flip. I think that's a solid way to play. So we know about the Savannah. So what is this? Some control deck. Can be Breakfast. It can be Bant Nadu. So I guess what's going to happen now is the opponent is going to kill a Delver to slow things down. I think that's a very likely outcome. And then I'm going to use my turn to... let's see. Yeah, I should speed up the process here. I don't get plowed. That's pretty cool for me. So now I can put back a card that I'm going to cast anyway. So let's see. What do I want to put back? So the good thing about Preordain is it doesn't, you know, I don't have to shuffle. So I guess putting back Cutter Preordain is good. Flip with Preordain. No plow from my opponent here. That is huge for me. So let's attack. I assume I would have gotten plowed here if they had it. Huh. So now I have to understand, if my opponent doesn't have plow, do I need the Cutter? I probably don't need the Cutter. So is this where I go? Let's do the math here. If I bolt them end of turn, they're down to 10. Play Cutter, play Spell, attack for 8. Yeah, that's not going to do it. I feel like I should try and play around like some Breakfast kill here. Or, you know, Nomad Nadu kill, that kind of stuff. So I guess in theory I could get Terminus here. I think what I should do here is just Preordain and look for stuff like, you know, Force of Will, etc. Let's put these cards away. Now, okay, so I could have checked. Yeah, that's the thing. I could have checked. Okay, we're up against Breakfast. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. If I was actually worried about Terminus, I should have just bobbled my opponent. I don't know. Okay, so my opponent probably, yeah, exactly, probably needs to develop a combo piece here. So now I think what I have to do is Ponder first. No, that doesn't help me because I don't have a blue card. Now I have a blue card. So if I Ponder first for Force of Will or a second Lightning Bolt, I think that's what I'm supposed to do. Because right now I'm losing to... you know, them pairing this with Illusionist. And if I Bolt and I get Forced, and then I Ponder into a Force, I'm just going to look super silly. So let's Ponder first. I do find a Force. This is incredible. So Force into the hand, Daze on top of the deck. So now I can go land And now the question becomes, when do I want to fire this lightning bolt? Probably on my opponent's upkeep. Because I don't know. They might brainstorm here in response, and I want to catch them. So it's good for me to pass here, I think. Opponent's down to 7. Untap. I want to point my removal spell at that card before they draw, because that could be like a Force of Will. Maybe that logic is flawed, because they could, in theory, just have a second Shuko or Nomad. Tough game, tough game. Here's Urza's Saga. My top card is Daze, which is very important. So Nadu. Let's think about this. Top card is Daze. So if I force here, my opponent needs to force, and then... Okay, they didn't have it. So I need to fetch my Surveillant here, dig for a lethal spell. Because in theory, I can still lose this game, which is disastrous. Now I cannot lose this game. Okay, cool. Quarry Steel Cutter. Bolt, the trigger is enough, and we go to game 2 here. Breakfast is very scary. I'm happy about the removal spells, though. I'm happy about the blasts. Let's try and get rid of this one. I don't like that card. I don't like Dazes. Do I like Molten Collapse? That's the thing. So these 5 for these 5, that's like super easy. Maybe Brazen Borrower is unexciting. Molten Collapse is decent. I mean, 2 mana kill a creature is not anything to write home about. I do have a lot of removal already. Question is, does my deck put on enough pressure that a card like Daze is live against that deck? Probably. Also, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 not removal spells already, so I'm not unhappy about this. About the first Daze. Question is if I want a second. I love all of my wastelands against an ambitious mana base. You can argue that, you know, if I have the luxury to play Cutter out and a spell, I'm not really... Maybe that is not too realistic based on, you know, that deck's ability to just win out of the blue. Does that push me towards second Daze? I think I'll try that on the play, but this card also gets better on the play. I'm actually not sure here. So this Daze could have, and these 2 cards essentially could be any combination of Dazes, Collapses. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, let's try this. Up a game against Breakfast, Zero Lander. Not much to say about that. Opponent keeps 7. And I find a playable hand. I can put away a Murktide Regent. That's going to be solid for later. So right now, I think I'm going to lead on Chandler Bauble. And then who knows what my force pitch is. Bolt, not bad, not bad. So let's go Chandler. Let's go Bauble. Probably mill most non-land stuff. Okay. Do I even mill this card? I could actually see milling this card being correct. I would love if my second land was a black land. Then I'm gonna bobble my opponent to see what they kept. So that could be anything from a combo piece to, you know, plow or second land or whatever. But that was a Nomad. Nomad is known. I cantrip off of the bauble into a black source. So that's pretty cool. And then if I didn't hit a black source here, you know, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would still be, you know, playing from one land here would be fine. So I just like that decision. Not because I drew the delta, but just in general. So I could bolt this card on upkeep to have manipulation over my draw. Maybe that's better, you know, post Delver to try and set up Delver. So maybe I draw... Okay. So now I go Underground Sea, Delver. Bolt the Nomad. Let's see what this trigger yields me. Sorcery. Okay, so if I mill that over, my opponent will know I have another, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so they force a will here. I'm actually going to let that go. And then I'm going to offer the trade looking like somebody who's like super weak to the combo. So now my hope is that I get to force the next combo piece and finish off my opponent. Oh, wow. I milled over a Delver flip. Yeah, okay. So I should have thought about that, of course. I think I'm going to need a live card off the top. Let's see. Let's see if we can still flip it. We can't. And this is also an artifact, so that's kind of the worst card I could see here. Not an easy decision, but I think I'm milling that card. Nado gets forced. Nomad's in play, which is super scary. No attack from the opponent. Flip with Lightning Bolt. That's what we want to see. So let's see here. Maybe fetching the Surveil now is good. Let's see. What difference does it make? I'm trying to get to Delirium. If I can get to Delirium here, I don't have to bolt the Nomads. So let's see if we can find Delirium. Sorcery or creature. Okay, so now we have Delirium. Attack. Opponent's at 11. I'm basically bad against second Nadu. Pretty good against the rest with how this is going. Here's Brainstorm, I think. So let's see. If my opponent... Yeah, I should let this resolve, I believe. So my opponent needs Green Source and Nadu here, which is very possible. Then I have to kill that in response. I Surveil. And then it's looking like I have to suicide my Channeler, which is very bad. Okay, here's a Plow. So now I will respond, even though it's very likely that my opponent has a second combo piece. I think this is just a good play from the opponent. Just good play here to force the issue on that bolt. Okay, Channeler down. I think that means no Nadu. Because it's like a must attack, right? Opponent with... Okay, opponent with the shuffle here. I think I'm doing reasonably well, but the opponent's also a Plow deck, right? So anything can happen. Attacking the opponent down to 8. This could be one of those games where I don't get there. Okay. Needle is very welcome. Probably going to name Wasteland. Last card was not dangerous unless it's some flashy endurance. Here's Urza's Bauble, so I guess we might as well learn about that card. Let's see the last card. Let's try and guess. What is the last card? I will guess Cephalid Illusionist. Let's see. Okay, another Nomad. Let's attack with Delver, pass, draw a random card. The opponent's at 5. Here's Corey Steel Cutter. I can still die, right? Okay, Narcomoeba. That's very good for me. But now the opponent should probably play Nomad since I know about it. They didn't. Okay, so Spell is not good enough. Spell is not good enough. Okay. So I guess I go Cutter Equip. And still lose to the combo. Nadu would also... Nope, Nadu... Yeah, okay, the opponent can block here. Never mind. The opponent can block here just to make Nadu a live draw. So heads up. Narcomoeba play. The opponent's at 2. And now it's Judgment Day. Let's see what the opponent can come up with. Okay. They just break off a little bit, and I get a little lucky here to close out the deal. Yeah, that was very fortunate to emerge victorious here. I did find a good plan, though, throughout the game. I did my best, so yeah, sometimes that is enough for Delver, sometimes it's not. All right, let's play some more Magic. All right, guys, allow me to interrupt the video briefly here. Thanks so much for the space. I just want to talk about my newest initiative here. So obviously, I want to be the place to be. My Metafy should be the place to be if you care the slightest about Eternal Magic. So I'm trying to do my absolute best, delivering the good stuff to you guys week in and week out. So look at this. The next coming months, I will be hosting guest primers from the absolute experts of all the archetypes that I could think about when it comes to Legacy. First one, JPA on Sneak Attack. Incredible. Next up, not necessarily this order, Jujubin on Delver, double Eternal Weekend champion. Sprouts on Lands, multiple challenge winner. Futurism on 12 Post. He's played the deck for years, works on this deck weekly. Tony Scapone on Storm, Mr. Combo. Newton, straight from the cradle. He will be talking about his favorite black-green cradle deck, all the updates. This is the place to be. Larson, Eternal Weekend champion, European Legacy Masters champion, Showcase champion, Mr. Breakfast. That will be a banger, probably the one I'm looking forward to the most personally. We'll have Remorsa on Energy. He put energy strategies on the map in Legacy, and he'll share all his insights. And then we have Harain on Dreadnought, Mr. Dreadnought. I'm too excited for this one. I don't know what to tell you guys. This is me trying to promote being a book-smart Baron. This is a $15 subscription that will give you access to all content, all my tournaments. You will have access to my community, all of these premium articles, everything that I'm putting out in the future, everything from the past. It's just going to be one click away with that subscription. So highly recommend. Next up, we have Ecoternal Weekend coming up. Ecoternal Weekend, that's also a fun name. But what is it aside from that? It's going to be an Eternal Weekend warm-up tournament. Two of those, make that two of those. We're going to be having Kai Sawatarix making a customized painting for the winner. Let's say you win with your favorite deck. You can tell him, yeah, I want it like this, like that, and he will execute your ideas. So these are going to be the details. September 6th is going to be the Legacy version. September 20th is going to be the Vintage one. It's going to be a Swiss tournament in one go, and you can check out the rest of the prize structure here. I can't wait to see you over there. If you want to save a little bit on your first month, you can use code ECO50. It would mean a lot to me to see you over there. I'll invite you to the Discord, and hopefully it's going to be the best early Christmas gift you give to yourself this year. Thanks so much for the space. Let's get back to the video. All right, round 2. I'm playing Grixis Delver Cutter. I have a sweet one here. I feel like I should go Chandler Bauble. Yeah. These Underground Seas could come back to bite me, though. Two for two here on Big Fans. So I obviously chose a good time to record this video. That's pretty cool to see. Always love some feedback. There's also some crazy ones, though, once in a while where I have to mute some guys and unmute YouTube and stuff like that. But with that being said, let's try and understand this. So let's try and use this logic. If the opponent has a removal spell, I want to point it on the, the Delver. If an opponent has a removal spell, a Wasteland, I wanted to point on the Underground Sea. So in theory, if I play the Delver first, am I more likely to make both of those happen? Maybe? I'm actually going to try going Delver, pass, slow rolling the Bauble for the reason that I already have like a solid play lined up next turn, and I could draw Cutter. Like, in combination, those things. Ooh, I connected on one of the two. Yeah, it just feels so good when logic like that pays off. Let's see. I can even flip here. That should be not allowed. So now I go Chandler Bauble. They killed my worst land. I even flipped my Delver. Yeah, this is awesome. So now let's think about this Lightning Bolt. So this Lightning Bolt is, it's damage. I should probably take this one, right? I still have Brainstorm. Yeah, this card is fine. I am gonna, I guess, crack this Bauble. Secluded Courtyard. Okay, so the opponent's playing Eldrazi, and they tried to stop me from playing Magic. Very, very cool dynamic. So hopefully this works out. I have a stop on my upkeep in case I need to upkeep Bolt. Which I might. Let's be honest. Like, this game could be all about closing out my opponent. Yeah, and they have to pass here. I'm actually going to upkeep Lightning Bolt here because it is digging better for Wasteland. That is essentially what I'm looking for. I guess Force of Will is also good, so put land away. Bolt resolves 14, draw, and I draw Freshie, right? That's kind of the whole point. So now I think I should brainstorm because I could spike a sorcery or a creature. How's that logic? I think that logic checks out. Like, all damage matters here. There's the sorcery, baby. Okay, so this is pretty decent. So now I can go put Borrower on top, put Flooded Strand on top, play Bauble, mill over Flooded Strand, attack for 6, and not crack this Bauble until the opponent's turn because of Thought Seer. Yeah, I think I found a very good line here. Play draw was immense this game. That's the difference between my opponent being super behind and then, you know, them having a lot of breathing room. Let's see what the opponent can do here. Here's Glaring Fleshraker. And now the question is how many, like, petals and stuff. Okay, they go for this one. So now they have, I guess, you have 1 mana. Okay. So let's have a look at this. I feel like I should... Okay, the opponent's drawing a petal. That's pretty funny. So now, let's think about this. I'll draw the Brazen, and then I have to think of my upkeep here. I feel like if I bounce my opponent's Fleshraker here, I don't see how I can lose. Let's bounce Fleshraker, look for a Bolt, essentially. Wasteland as well. Force Will doesn't do anything. Draw. I draw Channeler. So I guess I just deploy a Channeler, attack my opponent down to 2. All right, we take game 1 here against Eldrazi, mainly because our opponent's on the draw Wasteland versus a Delver didn't work out. I was pretty lucky to flip my Delver there. Okay, so against Eldrazi, we have some good stuff. We have 7 good cards, sorry. Let's see how many bad ones we're rolling with. I think Days on the draw is quite atrocious. It looks like Lightning Bolt gets upgraded. And then what about the last card? You can argue a card like 1 Delver is very cuttable, maybe. How do you feel about these 7 for these 7? Cutter is a built-in way to play around Chalice. Bolt is sometimes good. So if I sideboard like this, trimming a Delver, it seems wrong, but I think it's like a tiny hedge against Chalice, right? And I'm bringing in more reasons to hold up mana, that being, you know, consigns or, you know, push with a fetch, stuff like that. It's not perfect, but I think it checks out. I want 19 lands because all of my wastelands are awesome. Okay, we can try this. Eldrazi is dangerous because you can lose to Chalice, you can just lose to Uncounterable Beatdown. It's just super scary. All right, so this hand lines up poorly against just, you know, solid mana, essentially, and then Haymakers. And you want your opponent to go, like, land, crack a petal, Chalice. So I can use my Force of Negation, because this is not a Force of Will, you know, the creatures, this is a, I don't know, 25 creature deck, and that just means the negation is situational by definition here. Okay, so here's Cavern of Souls. So I'm hoping for Petal and Chalice here. Can we get it? We can't. Okay. So this is also another interesting. So why would you lead on Cavern here? You lead on Cavern because that's the card you would want to get Wastelanded in case I have Wasteland, which is just a interesting dynamic to be aware of. It could be phasing and then step Dismember. If that is the case, I think it, no matter what, it leads me to playing turn 1 Channeler. It's just something to think about. Did they actually have a spell available to them here? And here it is. The opponent's at 16, and I am down a Channeler. So for good measure, this should let this resolve. Just let me make this decision before knowing that there's a dead card. I should mill this one. So since I actually have Force of Will in my deck, let's see, what am I even forcing here with Cavern in play? Because if the opponent has Ancient Tomb or Eldrazi Temple, it doesn't work. But it works if they have I have Ugin, though. Okay, so I will bobble my opponent here. Let's see. That reveals a Thought-Knot Seer. Very, very good card. My deck is a little bit better against Thought-Knot Seer than, you know, normal Izzet decks. Another delayed draw. Let's see if this is the Chalice I talked about. It looks like it is. So I will now force a negate Pitch Delver. If this was an actual Force of Will, I would, you know, second guess it. So now I can play a 4/4 Murktide or have it killed by Thought-Knot Seer. Oh, this is actually brutal. This is kind of brutal, but it does require my opponent to have a double land, I guess. All right, so bobble. I have to crack it because I need to get to 5 cards in the yard. The opponent draws Ancient Tomb. Okay, so here's Murktide Regent. Only as a 4/4. But the alternative is it gets eaten. So sure, I could go like consign the ETB, then play a 5/5. Like that is possible, but I think this is better. And now I'm actually winning the race. Let's see. Yeah, it was the same foil Ancient Tomb, just checking. So now the opponent is probably supposed to jam Thought-Knot Seer to not lose to basically my next card. Oh, they have the bounce, of course. Didn't think about that. They have that in the deck as well. 4 Battle Mages. So now I'm going to lose my Consign, and then I'm going to hope to draw a spell. I feel like if I draw a spell, I'm doing well for myself. I didn't. So let's play Channeler. Let's get ready to Surveil. Let's attack my opponent down to 10. So thanks to the Dismember, thanks to the Ancient Tomb, you know, I'm clocking my opponent a little bit here. Let's see, do I lose to Reality Smasher? Actually, don't think I do. I think I'm fine against Reality Smasher. This is 5 mana, so this could just be uncounterable Reality Smasher. My opponent still has to get me from 20, though. Okay, it's not Reality Smasher. I don't think blocking makes any sense here. Because I could, in theory, like change some cantrips and end up flying in for lethal. If I'm very lucky and hit a bolt at the end of the rainbow, I guess. So let's see what this is. This could just be the bounce Eldrazi, and I'm kind of in trouble here. Fleshraker. Okay, that card is beatable. It's not the bounce Eldrazi, so let's see. Thundering Falls into Brainstorm. Don't mind if I do. So let's cast Brainstorm, mill. Ooh, wait a minute. This card is super solid. So let's keep that card, draw 3. And these cards are atrocious, so that is good. Let's put those 2 back. So now what I could do is attack for 4 in the air. The opponent's at 6, then get ready to play Brazen end of turn. I should probably do that. So my opponent needs the bounce Eldrazi now. And they don't know they're dead next turn. That's kind of the thing, right? But if I get to Delirium, they are, so. Or if they tap this one and doesn't deal with the Merc. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think this 2-turn clock of Brazen is going to get there. I guess the Battle Mage. Let's see. The opponent goes Battle Mage onto the Murktide. The game is a little bit different. Then I probably have to Chum Block with Channeler and step the Brazen, recast Merc. Maybe I'm in good shape. Let's see. It looks like a Desperate K command here onto the Channeler. Sure. Okay, and then they have the bounce. Interesting. Here comes Linebreaker. Wait a minute. Does that help the opponent? So 3, let's see. They have 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so I guess they found lethal here if it wasn't for me bouncing this card, right? That should work out. All right. That was a little bit sweaty. They found a cool line here. That deck can just win out of nowhere, but you know, Ancient Tomb is not free, Dismember is not free, and then all of a sudden all you need is a 4 for Murktide. All right. Nice little 2-0 start here. Let's try and close this video with a bang. All right, round 3, I'm playing Grixis Cutter, Delver, old school tempo. And this hand is good. I have turn 1 Chandler, turn 2 Chandler, and I have a Daze. So we can do good things while the opponent has to spend mana doing stuff. The good thing about this hand is it's good against most strategies because of, you know, the coverage of Daze Bolt and just aggression in general. Let's see if we can capitalize on that fact. That's kind of the biggest thing, right? If this is, you play blue-black tempo, this is a fatal push, right? And this is another Goyf. Your opener is a lot less impressive. And it's matchup dependent with the fatal push even, so. Yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons in Magic. Ooh, this could be a good old control matchup. Let's see. I draw a Cutter. I really want to get second Chandler down. Maybe we can do that first. If the opponent has something to say about it, we can Daze. Okay, so this is probably some Leyline Binding control deck, and I'm going to be in trouble unless I bury my opponent in, you know, somewhat of a timely fashion. So that's going to be the objective here. Here's Flooded Strand. Here's Ponder. Not a card I care too much about here. Only in the sense that I have it on my own turn, which is awesome, right? Then I hopefully can Ponder into a land and bolt into Delirium. That's kind of the dream here. Draw. Very bad draw. Let's see if we can find a land. So put that into the yard. Keep that card. Yay. Let's see if the opponent wants to get frisky here on a Ponder. They're thinking about it, that this is a good place to... I missed a land drop, right? Yeah, this would be very heads up. I would love to see this. All right, these cards are, you know, it's the land that's the good one. So now I will try and find Delirium here with my Bolt. Cast Lightning Bolt on my opponent. Come on deck, you can do it. Creature or artifact, I believe. This card triggers Cutter next turn, but it's double Delirium now, so. There's that. And now I'm, of course, happy to Daze Plows. But I don't think my opponent has a Plow. Or Ending. They would have... they might not even have Binding, right? Because they could have fetched Savannah and binded me. Again, this is funny. The second time this video, I'm thinking about Terminus. My opponent needs a very good turn now. Let's see if they can stabilize. Everything but white is in play. Let's see what this is. Up the Beanstalk is a card I have to let resolve here. And then what can my opponent cast off of this Lounge? Ponder. Is this where I basically say Daze is never going to do anything, so this is my chance to dig for Lightning Bolt and win the game? I don't know. Daze. Let's get rid of Daze. Bauble. That is a good one, because then I put my opponent at 1 life. Okay, that's a good one. All right. The opponent is force-willing a Daze to draw a card, and now they have to force-will the Cutter, otherwise I have exactly lethal. Up the Beanstalk. Pyros are good. I can consider the negation, but I don't know about this. Let's see. Can you force me again? Mill over the Murktide. Already have one. Mill over the land. Force Steel Cutter. Trigger. And now my opponent needs Solitude. They don't have Solitude. Alright. So that card is awesome. Dazes and Bolts less so. So we can, at the very least, I like something along these lines. So let's see, which creatures are they running in that deck? Murktide, probably. Murktide dies to Pyroblast. It also dies to Snuff Out. Is that too narrow? Is it a decent endurance hedge? Could be a decent endurance hedge, actually. I'll have to learn more about my opponent's deck with regards to the red splash or red, you know, being a main color. Wastelands are good. All my threats are good. Second negation is good against Beans specifically, right? Daze is so-and-so. Yeah, this should be fine. And then maybe when I learn more about my opponent's deck, I can add like Hydros or, you know, first push. All right. Let's see. Game 2, I'm playing against 4-color Beanstalk. This looks decent. Tundra. Ponder, sure. So I'm going to go turn 1 Delver, and then if my opponent just has a random Plow, you know, that card is just dead. I'm not going to fight over it. Oh, I draw Wasteland. My opponent just shuffled on a Ponder. Okay, I think this is where I, you know, put myself in a position to get lucky, right? Seems like the price for trying to get lucky here is very low. Another Ponder. Okay. So what does this tell us? The opponent either just drew a land, or they were land heavy and saw a bunch of lands on the Ponder already. Unclear. The cool thing about a play like that is it doesn't cost me much to do, right? It's just, let's see if I won the game, essentially. Okay, but now they kept the card, so we're back on. I just play Delver Secrets here. Keep them a little bit off balance. I'm a little bit scared of Carpet. This is not Carpet. Okay, so now they're going to jam up the Beanstalk into a Daze when I have a creature in play, so I obviously like that. Let's Daze the Beanstalk and fight over it if necessary. It wasn't necessary. Can we random flip the Delver? Are we back? Yeah, we are back. I feel like I should progress my game plan here. Let's go land Preordain. Found the next threat. That's pretty sweet. I'll keep the Brainstorm. If my opponent plays another Beanstalk, I'll force with Ponder. It should be somewhat easy to get Delirium with the Chandler. This makes my opponent's spot removal slightly worse. And it also punishes the draws that don't have access to spot removal. Lauren revealed. So in general, I like this, right? It's like playing a tap land. The opponent only has 2 mana available turn 4 of the game. So I guess I wastelanded, so it's kind of turn 3, right? Okay. Is this me countering another copy? It could be. Up the beanstalk. Well, I'm not going to let it happen this time either. So now I'm going to draw Brainstorm. Play Chandler. Hold up Pyro. Keep attacking. Yeah, this is certainly going as planned. I'm predicting my opponent to have Murktide Regent here, which lines up poorly against Pyro. I'm going to let this resolve because of Murktide Regent. I like my opponent's play here to where they have, you know, if they have Murktide on top of the Brainstorm, it's just good sequencing, right? Because I could get frisky and go try and counter. Life from the Loam. I feel like this is a good time to Brainstorm because if I do Spike a Days, it's worth it. And if I don't, it's a little like whatever. So maybe, did I board in any black cards? I have 1 Snuff Out. That's super funny. So I guess I go for that one. And then I go Brainstorm. 2 Days is in my deck. Here's a Cutter. Cutter is probably too good to pass up on. So I'll Brainstorm. I do find the Days. Negation is bad. So let's see. This means I'm milling over the land, though. That's not how you want to play. So let's see. Does this work? I think this works. So that I mill over the negation, draw the land, then play Cutter. Okay. So let's Days. The opponent did not play land yet, so I guess I return this one. Mill over negation. Cash in my Days because it's not getting better. Here's a tap land. Okay, I guess I missed out on Delirium here. So, let's see. Play Cutter. Okay, I didn't think about that part of it. Okay. Play Cutter. Try and get Delirium. Fail. No Bauble. Attack for 4. Then if my opponent deploys a Murktide, I can upkeep Pyroblast to try and kill it. And dig for a spell to trigger the Cutter. That should be pretty decent. So I'm bad against... Ooh, nice. I didn't think about... Oh, did the opponent get lucky here? Or did they know about this? I guess they knew about this. Okay, nice play. Super nice play by the opponent. So my creatures are gone. Opponent's at 9, which is a dangerous life total. And I expect the Murktide to come down here. And now I... Oh, Uro. Okay, that's also a good card. Okay, so the opponent has more than stabilized here, and they have 2 shots in a chamber with Uro, and only have a single Pyro, so things are not looking great. And the opponent has 3 spells in hand to make matters worse. Bauble. I am gonna slow roll this Bauble and pass the turn, because I think with my Surveil land I can get to the second spell. My opponent will try and exhaust. Okay, they loamed. Okay. I think I'm fine with that. Sure. So now I'm going to try and find a spell and keep it up here. Hydroblast I would counter. Leyline Binding I would be very sad about. My opponent knows about the Pyroblast. That's the other thing. So let me make a choice here with my Thundering Falls. Cantrip would be beautiful. Can we do it? We can almost do it. Leyline Binding. Yeah, I see you. I think I'm in trouble here. Let's... Okay, so I see a Spell Pierce in my opponent's hand. That's not impressive. But it's very good to know about. I guess that's the only thing. Wait a minute. Okay, so my opponent's also drawing a Spell Pierce. That's very funny. I guess they're not anymore. So now what do they put on top? They put a Brainstorm on top, and they have Uro, which is a must counter. I'm drawing a couple of cards here. These cards needs to be incredible. So far, so good. Okay, these cards are very solid. Like, if I draw land and I go Utter Murktide, that is super solid. Yeah, this resolves because Uro's unbeatable. Up the beanstalk. Yeah. I don't think I can win this game anymore. I think this ship has kind of sailed. Once the opponent stabilized with, you know, terminusing away those creatures, I think this is just not up for grabs anymore. Let's see. So the thing is, my opponent has a Spell Pierce in hand. Unless they put it back, I guess. Okay, I guess we have to play as if they put it back. Let's play Cutter. Here's the Spell Pierce on turn 8, being good against my Delver deck. Oh, Hydroblast. Counter target spell if it's blue. My opponent would have pierced it if they had it. Or not? Okay. I think I'm just dead no matter how you slice it. If I let this happen, I force the Uro comes back. Okay. We can go for another game. So my opponent's Uro control didn't show Murktide yet. Do I ever want to have a surgical instead of the snuff out? We can try like a single surgical. Generally, I think it's, you know, losing battle. You could also argue Consign is decent with Leyline Binding being in the mix. This Brazen Borrower is not very good. Maybe that's the one I want. Like, and then I want something else. One Consign for the binding. I mean, it's solid. This is a 3/1 on its own. It's not really bouncing anything. Okay, we can try this. Yeah, super rough matchup. I love control decks like that. All right, last game of the video. Let's try and finish strong here. Let's keep this hand. Double Daze, double creature. That's solid, right? So let me go turn 1 Channeler. I will happily Daze a Bolt. Let's see if the opponent has a play. The opponent didn't have a play. Consign is not bad, so let's see. Let's try and understand what the opponent is holding up here. Plowing, maybe? Do I want to develop this wasteland? That is very possible. Maybe I go Delver on the stack. Attack for 1. Don't want to let my opponent know about the wasteland just yet. I will soon, though. And now I'll play it and pass. I think it's slightly better. Because a lot of my opponent's play patterns would be fetching, like Surveil, Triome, whatever here. And now they have to kind of change their plan, which is probably good for me. Let's see. Brainstorm end of turn gets hit by my Daze. So now I'm kind of trying to attack their mana. Let's see if I can secure a Delver flip. I can't. Oh, this also counters a miracle trigger. Huh. Okay, should have thought more about that. So let's put that into the yard. Trying to build Delirium here. So right now my Wasteland looks silly, but the whole point is I'm hoping so does my opponent's deck, essentially. Right? Like, basics out of that deck is not ideal. They shuffle here. Here's Solitude before I can develop the next one. That's, you know, that's fine. So let's see. Oh, they killed a Delver. Okay. So they're basically banking on me not hitting Delirium. So now they either have no land or they only have a tapped duel that would just get killed. Unclear. Yeah, let's draw. Putter. Not bad, not bad. So let's try and think. I should fetch here because I don't have a lane in the yard. So if I flip sorcery or, let's see, sorcery or artifact, I'm hitting harder. That is a very good instant, though. Let's understand where this game is going. I feel like I should try and trigger this card. And Pyroblast is kind of bad at doing that. So let's attack for 1. 3 types. Let's see how the opponent gets out of this one. Like, just hydraing the cutter would be annoying. I guess I daze almost anything here. Okay. So now the opponent has to expose a duel. Tundra. Does that mean my Channeler... Oh, at least, you know, my opponent's trying to kill the Channeler? I'll daze here. They have to do it now to not help my cutter adventures. Here's another cutter. But I feel like I milled that card. So now I waste a Tundra. I hold up Consign for whatever that's worth. Here's Bauble. So I could consign my own Bauble here. I guess let's play this and hold... Oh, it's too late now. Yeah, okay, I botched it. I botched it. That was not good. So I don't know if getting a 2/2 here was going to be the move, but my plan was to play this card, see the top card, and then, you know, make my decision on consign, but I guess that was too hard. So let's see my opponent's top card. Top card is a Hedge Maze. Let's kill the Tundra. Let's play land. Let's attack for 3. Yeah, so was I better off sending a 2/2 there and tapping down from consign, not getting a card? I'm not sure. Force Will is not bad in a spot like this. Do I try and stop my opponent here? I don't think so. I think I let them play. This is kind of a weird spot where this might never do anything, this cutter. Or that might, you know, just slam the door on my opponent later. I believe they drew a Hedge Maze, right? Yeah, there's a Hedge Maze, so I'm not gonna consign that either. If I don't draw anything, I can equip an attack. I guess that's not horrendous. Cantrip into Cantrip would be insane. Cantrip into creature would be insane. The opponent kept the card on top, and here's a land. Let me attack for 4. Again, me closing out this game could be a little bit complicated. I believe I boarded out all my bolts, so it is actually, I need 3 hits. Yeah, all my bolts are in the sideboard, so I need 3 hits. Or I guess I'm just so close if I can double spell at some point. Let's see what this is. This could easily be a 3-mana binding. It's a plow. Yeah, I'm gonna fight over the plow here. I understand the Murktide region can ruin my day. Didn't see Murktide, though. Is this the Pierce? Okay, Pierce got me. It's pretty funny. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably losing this game. After my opponent doing nothing for all of those turns? Yeah, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's just what this deck can do, like run out of gas, and decks with inevitability can kind of beat it. So I don't think it's like any like outrageous bad luck or anything. You know, it's hard to explain. I just had the feeling we were cruising this game, right? So now the hope is to negate something. I guess negating a loam is not bad if the opponent's struggling on lands. Ooh, nice. Wasteland. So now I can get my opponent out of white. That's probably something I should do. Let's get them out of white. Pass. I need like cantrip or a cantrip spell. Yeah, that is brutal. That's the opponent's last card. That's exactly what they wanted. And they find a fourth land. Seems like they could not. I draw a brick. That doesn't even help me if I, get a good card next turn. I guess a card like Brainstorm could fix it. Up the beanstalk. Yeah. This is the beginning of the end. I guess too many cutters, too many forces here. Because I feel like just one cantrip is game over in a lot of turns. That's the thing, right? The cantrip leads to the next thing so often, and even a creature counts, right? And then the damage just stacks from there. But if I just draw forces and, all my 3 cutters, I can't really close the deal. And now we have the dilemma, but I think I have to do this because I'm losing to the Uro. Nice terminus. Opponent's fetching away the terminus. Seems like a good play. So I can draw, let's see. How many surgicals did I bring in? Just a single, right? Oh, I don't need the dungeon. Yeah, I have a single surgical I can draw. I guess a blue card lets us play the game. I draw Pyroblast. That also lets us play the game. Oh, the opponent fetched planes. Oh, they had the land. Never mind. All right, I got excited there for a second. So now I get to Pyro and Uro that is coming back next turn. Yeah, this is not happening. I'm playing it out for you guys. Here's Uro, here's Pyroblast. The opponent knows they can just do it again next turn. And here's another bauble, so I have to now do exactly like last time, I guess. Bauble, there's a Brainstorm. Now I have to draw Pyroblast or Surgical, or I guess pair the blue card. And there's the nail in the coffin. That's gonna do it, guys. All right, a nice little 2-1 finish here with the Grixis. If you like the deck, check out the guide. And as always, it's a pleasure to play Magic here on the channel. I'm always looking forward to it, and I'm always excited to press record. So yeah, thanks so much for being here, and I hope to see you back soon. Bye, guys.